Hello, welcome to Friday the 13th. I guess a good day to do pacts with the devil. For anyone who crosses over these agreements, could just be welcome in the underworld. I mean, there are some good stories about. Look at my portal, my portal. Oh, this is more like. You should not cross over the line. It's one of the laws of role play. One of the rules of role play is to not cross over the line. Just make a story with that. But it gets very hateful because if they cross the line, death is in the other side. If they really want to cross over, it seems like we fight for those things, and it can be as beautiful as pathetic. Looking at all these files going from Twitter, all these files going from Biden and Trump, and it's like, because when the others say I was talking about that all this war and peace deal is in the hands of more powerful people, is because there are a lot of heads that are going to be chopped and fall down. So our world of transparency, not only through technology, but mindful respectfulness and speed mediations who already know all these rules of role play, in not just in virtual reality, but in the context of chopping more heads if they get in the way. Nothing new, by the way, but at least not so corrupted. Like, how much you need to do more, to be more? It's people don't. It's like, I don't understand. Like, really? Because all these beliefs of I'm not going to say they belong to this group of the other, but like all these beliefs of abuse, have more women, have more younger, have children, have boys. So it's never going to be enough, right? Trust me, I fucked a lot, maybe more than any of these perverts would wish. Will that make me a better person or worse? Of judgment. Well, I think that in this channel of Tech Oneself, that started with Tech Vic in Victoria, Canada. It's always been tech in Madrid, Tech Mat, then in London, Tech L&D, and Harvard, because I got dyslexic, I got the wrong website. And then I just thought Tech Myself, so it's for all the world, on each city. Then I just thought, it's not a myself, Tech Oneself, because what is oneself? Or the entity you represent. So as to say, is the headquarters of an international company, is to say. But well, dreaming is free. As long as other people can do their work, I cannot even go outside and have a walk to pick up a stone so I can paint it. And it's very important because I want to give the painted stones, as my first daughter Debbie said to me, I need to paint because that calms me down. And she's so beautiful. She's so beautiful. I don't know what would I do without her. I wish to bring a good story to this video, but I still like to just go randomly. It makes me feel better. It's a place where I get very technical and picky, but at the same time, I feel freer of judgment and between craziness and judgment. And I don't wish anyone to die, but metaphorically, is an aspect that has to die. It has to end. It's a path of redemption to say, okay, I won't do it anymore. I won't allow this to happen anymore. We don't have to rape children. So we can protect our secrets and be more trustful to one another and loyal to trust in each other. So we don't have to share these secrets as a pact. These are things that could be erased just like that, you know? There's nothing wrong with learning Tantra. And Tantra doesn't mean that you have to learn everything within the realms of Tantra uh, has a story of its own and is spiritual, but at the same time, the tantrics never experience what they wrote. It's like the Marxism. The communists never experience what communism is. So, in the same way, the tantrics, because the tantrics were kings, Rajs, who had like 300 wives, but they were slaves. So no woman on this earth giving the human rights would like to be a slave and share a man with 300 women. I was like, you're right. There, for no money in the world. I mean, like really? Or castrate a man for no money in the world. But of course, there are still many women there because they believe to carry the possession as if it's their own. They're going to be better because they will still believe in all this family systems and the course. And I believe in marriage and to be with one person. The thing is that unlimited love, universal love, has nothing to do with that. And you can call it God, you can call it the church, you can call it your brothers and sisters, the temples, and to which certain extent are you loyal, right? Because we are coming to transgress from values which people are used to use for power and domination, wars and death, and all sorts of abuse that come with that. Nothing good comes out of war. They are all beliefs that need to be murdered. But these beliefs need to be called on role play assassinations. But these are only words that are understood by role players. No one could maybe understand what this is. Why? Because there are aspects, a psychiatrist, a mental manipulator, some people who play to the letter and get to view what this world really needs, not just be on this planet, but as the best base we could ever have. And that is a good story. Because we love violence and we need to conquer, we need to move on, we need to confront. That's where the best stories are related. And in our differences is the most beautiful match we could ever have. This is why people always say, you can ask any person, if you become a millionaire, what would you do? Everyone says, I would love to travel. Forget my mother and my family. I would love to travel. He's like, yeah, right, because I have traveled. I would never wish to travel. But, I would do it if I have to. If other people can travel for me, I will be like, great, yes, 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 you're doing great, you're doing great, you're doing great. You do it, you do it, you're doing great. Just imagine myself because it's fun to laugh about oneself. And how many dreams you have that you could not ever fulfill in one lifetime? Not even if you're the richest person on this planet. Probably, of course, some people could do it, but it, this earth is huge. It's to be everywhere. It's, that's for sure. Those Telsa trucks are so cool. I was just thinking of the influencers. What if influencers become millionaires? Some influencers because they're making these deals and they have learned how to role play and go around the world with their truck home by Telsa green energy. It has to be otherwise. I'm so happy that my imagination works. Um, Influencers that maybe are tarot readers and they're helping to make mansions into villages and to provide values and how to make their set to get this rolling. Of course, they need water, they need how to make food, but they need a little internet resource to see how they're going to do it. How are you going to do this? You need an axe. What else do you need to cut this, to make material that is, because they could cut all the trees to make food? Where all these seeds would come from? Are you willing to work the earth without saying you're being used as a slave? Just to work the earth to make food? I mean, to work by hand or have a truck? All these things. These are very heavy agreements to do, not just in a lifetime, but 4 generations of a lifetime to agree. I mean, of course, many countries love to invest in war, so they have all these immigrants, and you pay them for half labor, you lower the salary. It's like, yeah, great. People from Spain have people from South America, Spanish talking, working in Spain, but they do not have the education of Spanish people. Spanish people, even the lowest class, has very good models to it in the table to discern more than Africans or other people here in Europe. Really, Italians as well. And it is sometimes, it's like, well, good for you. Another time will be good for me and my people. Yeah, good for you. Your family, you know, you come from farmers, you're straight from farmers, and you're a billionaire. Good for you. Good for you. Good for you. You just eat like your parents who were farmers. Good for you. And you have to let it be because that's how it happened, right? Not only one generation, but many who support this. What can we do? It's very hard to see what's going on in South America as well. And the politics, the movements of politics, because it's not convenient for them to support Venezuela, because the president Maduro doesn't know how to do the mediations to create a democracy. And so I should go there and talk about it and say, hey, you're going to become a chief and you're going to put 2 parties, all right? I'm going to put 2 parties and come here to the parliament, learn some models. Don't speak with so much hatred because, of course, you've been betrayed because you're not listening. They want to support dictatorship. They want to support democracy. So you have to do democracy in order to do these deals. But they don't trust in me. They don't trust in other people. They don't trust. They put mediators who are as arrogant. This arrogance is not the way of the free world. The free world is built on rape, blood, wars, weapons of mass destruction, lies, bending realities, and thankfully we have a lot of people coming forward with truth to try to mold. This is the truth. This is the old generation. They're never gonna say sorry. Never. Nor Bill Gates, nor Biden. They're always gonna be like, what? Like my mother. What? No. I mean, they know what they do, but they don't care. They could care less. In their minds, they are going to live forever. And until they die, they don't care. They don't care to see a better world, really. Because if they really care, they would say, this is your work, here, continue. This is your work, here, continue. What is the need to be so corrupted? To take my work, to take a children's ass, to pay a minor and give it away like trash and use another one to ejaculate somewhere else. Like, this is why nerds and incels put so much energy in their minds without sharing with their body. And now all this bloodlust for power, for money, their secrets, their pacts, you know. I think Elon Musk can have very strong narcissistic traits, but you have to be an empath to sacrifice your career. Of course, he knows he can get a lot of money with other deals he's doing. Not deals, are his own companies and investments as a risk taker. But you have to be empathic to know that, you know, you're going to get dirty. Your hands are going to get dirty. You're going to lose money. But it's good for society. So you're putting yourself to be trashed and face the adversities. So the narrative of economics is something non-role player knows, because they just work in the realm of storylining. They don't play in computer games, for those who do not know. Yes, the world of role play and multi-active storyline. It doesn't matter, because right now is nearly dead. It's just in coma, trying to maintain itself alive in one by one stories, so it's not copied. They're not like sharks. They are like hyenas. They're waiting for some food to take it. Do you think that it's going to be shared for free? No. I don't know, but the person who is being there and knows about it, for some reason is obsessed with Harry's wife. He should have fucked her ass and just get over it. You know? I will call for some people to just get her on some chains, so in a box, so he could just get over with it, right? Just get over with it. It's all. Never seen so much obsession towards someone. But I guess everything relates to the wife of Harry. And maybe, I don't know. It's just 'cause it's about Harry. Everything is about Harry. So, well, it's good to be a psychopath and understand what is obsession with order, what is obsession. So, well, we all have our to-do list, and we should all respect people's freedom of expression and their own opinions, I guess. And I am very in love with this voice, but you could see that this world needs so much better. Really, so much better. They're not the best mediator there. How much petrol is there in Venezuela? And why are these deals? Maduro, the president of Venezuela, is asking for United Kingdom to 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 enter mediation. So it does need for the refinery to filter the petrol, and they will obey as long as they have a good mediation. But Venezuela, behind, you don't see these characters who are behind the politics, but they do exist, and one is part of my family. But he's too, he speaks very well English. The thing is that these are mediations that can revolutionize the world, and also Russia and China. They do need to understand that we're talking in a universal language. So it is. This is not only with others; it's with ourselves. And to boost up the narrative economy is one of the greatest goals we can achieve. So I was studying about the beauty of groups such as in the old style kingdoms and the nomads, and what links them in between, because it's a system that works with its own methods and how it develops through all these paths that been cultures and maps. So the economic impact of narratives might change through time. I have this book here, which is very interesting. And I wish I could share it just to read it over and over again and just kind of swing, kind of swing and keep straight. So some people are on a spiritual search. I am on the cast of this single sofa or rocking chair. The thing is that it has to hold the book well and keep my back straight so I can read and get to enjoy it's a deeper thought, deeper way of thinking, and stay away from internet. Best times reading is when I was totally disconnected from TV and people, near a river, and places far away from the normal, the ordinary. So well, be nice to have this a job so I can take my daughter Debbie for shopping on the end of February. Save some money and take her shopping and just walk with her because she's coming for 4 days. So I will have to. I mean, I would just rather buy her material clothes to do backdrops when she's filming. So she takes to Venezuela and audio. I think is Miami is better for her to go shopping. But since she's here and she's she's doing her own works as well, I don't think she really goes out into it 'cause it's like she hasn't found a way yet to film herself, and to believe in herself, and to have the strength to show herself in the world because of this this person who has been harassing her for many years with even witchcrafts, threats of like really bad. It's not from our family at all, not from our bloodline. So it's hard. It's hard. My family is a little more like not so possessive. So we have the extreme of the other side, which is also bad. It looks like, yeah, we're free and fine, whatever, but we just avoid conflict. Well, at least on my part, I have that strong dominant, it will say, I can't deal with it. Whenever I can, you will not know because this is unacceptable even to talk about it. Yeah. But I love to tell to strangers who work for companies because they don't care. They really don't care. The companies take advantage of anything, government takes advantage of anything. And there are no laws. There are no laws. Even to just send Christmas gift to your children, and they say you have to pay all this money, so they receive the box. So that's a gift, not because of taxes and buying it. Yeah, but it's not for me. So it's just another stab in the heart from so many. So many boxes being lost. Now they have this new law in Canada, which never had before. They have this new law in Spain as well. They have to pay taxes when they shop outside. So what about if you send a gift? Just wish I could recover my children and get a decent job. So I am being very careful to not go into work into something that is going to be just looking straight forward to, because when I move out of London, so my children have this school I always wanted, is when I win my court. I already won the court case. So if I'm going to work, I have to make sure I am working in something that is going to be just, that's it. So it's stable, because in my curriculum, I cannot have many jobs. It's better that I have none. And then it says, you work here 3 years, even if I work 2 days a week. But it's, yeah, I work here 3 years. 2 days a week is nothing, but it's been 3 years. It's kind of like, intelligent people think better to work less. So what is better to have a thematic map to see the currency of the needs that we need in this world, and learn how to be democratic, because nobody knows how to talk. If everyone is so corrupted because they want to win, they want to destroy, they want to take over, they want their connections first, the countries who do as they wish, well, so you are corrupted, but you don't allow other people to be corrupted. So put other people that can talk with each other. So we get a democratic, what is real democracy supposed to be? right? Because all these people like Trump, Biden, all these old ways of being in power are going to end. Everybody trying to get money from the government, from the people, all these people working in politics, renovating with 10, 20 million to get money from it. Things like that. Everyone, give them power and they will abuse. This is really what you need to be happy, to have more power, to continue on power. This is going to end as more as we continue and stronger. And as soon as these people are dying and we get to kill these aspects, the more we can conquer a greater world for the future. But they still want to keep pushing down to push up. Hello? You can just go bling and everywhere starts to emerge. People can pick up what materials here and there and say, hey, we've got this material. This is easier. But we need all these boats that are green energy as well. Well, why is it so bad to dream anyways? I was hey, come on, but it's free, it's free. It's free to dream. I have to talk about Algerian and other channel, but I'm not very excited about it. So I will talk here about this article that I got from a friend who posted it from Facebook, and it says height code for $13,000. The Englishman Brendan Grimshaw, because I do believe there are a lot of beautiful people in this earth, um, but a lot should be embraced. So the English Brendan Grimshaw brought a small uninhabited island in the Seychelles, East Africa, and moved there forever. I mean, the Englishman, they have this floater site. When the Englishman was less than 40 years old, he quit his job as a newspaper editor and started a new life on his island. I have 500 acres, just imagine. An island. At the time, no human had set foot on the island for 50 years, but then Brandon, along with a partner named René Lafortune, began to equip their new home. While René came to the island only occasionally, Brandon found himself there for decades and never left. Over 39 years, Grimshaw and Lafortune planted 16 trees with their own hands and built nearly 5 kilometers of trails. That's what I wish to do in my land. In 2007, René Lafortune died and Brendan was left alone on the island. He was 81 years old. He attracted 2,000 new species of birds to the island and introduced more than a century of giant tortoise, which in the rest of the world included the Seychelles, were already on the brink of extinction. Thanks to Grimshaw's efforts, the once deserved islands is now home to two-thirds of the Seychelles wildfire. Abandoned piece of land has become a true an abandoned piece of land has become a true paradise. A few years ago, the Prince of Saudi Arabia offered Brandon Grimshaw 50 million for the island of Seychelles. But Robinson refused I don't want the island to become a favorite vacation spot for the rich. It better be national park that everyone can enjoy. I mean, of course, the British. It's not going to become Arabic. You have so much deserted land in all your cursed Arabic lands to work on. Hello? And he modified that in 2008. The island was effectively declared a national park, an example of inspiration. Wow, that picture is beautiful. I hope he's still alive. I mean, these are the people you wish to interview. I could be as happy with that longi. That's how I like to end up old in my mansion to a village, just reading books to my grandchildren, grandchildren, and telling them crazy stories about my life and that they don't need to do as I did, but if they have to, why not? If they survive, the tell, good. They always have a chance to redemption. Yeah. So, well, this is the second week of the month, which is talking about what is inside. Well, that's what happened inside the island of Seychelles from this beautiful British man called Brendan Grimshaw. People's commentaries are always so exciting to read, isn't it? Braulio Alvarez said, because this was posted in a Spanish site that is called Código Oculto. It means occult code. There still exist humans that are intelligent in this suffering planet. Love and caring of nature. It is convenient in the predilect children of the Eternal Father, God. That was the first with more likes. The first stream in Facebook, 112 likes. The next one, Raúl Andrés. When the integrity to Mother Earth is worth more than any other form of payment, if we all start to have acts which in daily basis the money could not buy it all. Spanish people are very nice actually in their streams. They're not like Americans, I mean North Americans. I bet you Canadians are super nice. They're terrible when it comes to politics. They're always insulting politicians. It doesn't matter. This is something South America has to learn to support their leaders. And these leaders, at the same time, need to be less corrupted because they're as corrupted as good could be, given the chance. Of course, everybody wants to rule forever. This is why people need to have kings. And I think they need to have a middle point God has conceded a long life to Brendan Grandshaw for its noble and titanic idea to preserve the environment, the natural environment, and conserve so it is a home, assured home for multiple species. May God bless him and bring him much health so it continues to preserve this beautiful paradise and natural refuge. I had 2011 views, likes. We need to see of these things, not of the war. I wish I could give a job to my fellow role players and we buy the website. Should, what's his name? Anyways, Brendan. Green? Green? I should be working right now, but I don't know if they want me to work, so I don't want to be too pushy, which I am always very pushy. I always get judged for that. Oh, well, I'm just being creative to say yes, no, maybe later. One should also save the. Where can I save that? There are places one could save. Save post. National park. I guess some people can live there to take care of the national park. That's so beautiful. Wow. I guess on his time there was a lot of money. On his time, my mother brought our land, which was 50,000. Before I was born, that was a lot of money. I mean, I'm already 49 years old. Gosh, I wanted to talk about the royalty, how beautiful it is. No matter what they do, really, so beautiful. It is painful sometimes because it reminds us of our own issues. And one doesn't really know what truly happens. I have my own stories in my mind, and everybody might do their own stories with or against. I think also there is a lot to do with the clash of information among the classes, from the highest class and the glamour. And what I have seen in some artists, well, it's been one artist that has portrayed. She's very depressed sometimes, so I helped her to not kill herself on the lockdown. I was volunteering because I know what it feels like. In the contrary, I never told my family or anyone after 1 year when I was fine and everything maturely was okay, which one should never say that because then family worries if it happened yesterday. That was 1 year ago. Everything went fine. And all the family was like, if I have to take care of my family. It's sometimes there are ups and downs, and they have been talking about this shift for 2012, and now the tectonic shift in this war in Ukraine for 2022. And these days after my birthday, asking myself to not be so hard on you. Don't push your heart too much. Just and I go to sleep and go tender there just allow it, just allow it. Because, of course, in my mind, I have to rescue my children to have them with me. I have to rescue myself to go back to work. I cannot rescue this deal, which is too huge. And I made it. It was another titanic idea, but I'm incapable of dealing with that. So who knows? Leave this page. Who knows what tech oneself is going to be? So write without looking at the keyboard, but this keyboard is from the cave age, and I have to be very athletic to jump the keyboards. And look at them behind the other ones. Crawl like an animal through the keyboard. After knowing the speed of light, you could just pump in and out here with this other keyboard. Anyways. Well, interestingly, there are no good news from the royalty because all this Harry's book is bringing bad energy for the coronation. They should only talk about the coronation. Comedians make it funny. It, how would it be for the year 2023? Something. I mean, make all kinds of and celebrate the great times of epic times and how tradition is being passed and how would it be in 100 years. How would they kind of dare to have the best artists in the world to categorize with no shame, with no fear of what people say, to create something beautiful. The queen was right that it should be private, but I would love to see it, and there are many people who would love to see it as well and be part of it. The other day, when watching the Congress, they were voting for the Speaker of the House. There was this guy from a YouTube channel talking while they were voting, and he said, "Oh, they're going to oint him now after because it's been 14 times they've been voting until finally one gave up." And well, at least they have one. So it was nice to hear that because we would never know that they ointed the queen. And it's not something people do research unless you are a role player and are doing all this. I never did that role play in my fantasy worlds, but I would bath the feet because of my character that was related to bathing. She would bath in storyline. She would bath one a year. That would mean in storyline like once a century to make immortal. But that's not from mythology. I just made that up. But in mythology, no one dares to come down the river Styx because it is horrificare as miraculous. Because nobody will go deep down and look at your own shit. It's just the underworld of existence itself, but your own. And one of the worst is to look at your own with the ones of the world. It's okay to look at yourself alone, but to go down there to hell, to the pit of hell, and get a bath in the river Styx, it's not like some Baptists in a river in Jordan, which now is not is like a little stream of water. You cannot bath anyone; it would come out of mud. I was next to the river of Jordan. They told me that that used to be the river of Jordan because they're proud. All these stories are in the Bible, such a famous book. Even though they're Arabic, they are proud of all these stories. I don't know why they're Arabic. Like, why are you Arabic with all these stories here? Right from the lost city of Petra, doing all this vandalism and terrorism against the Jews. And now they made a good business with the Jews. And the first and the second evangelius is part of the Bible. When this happened right here, why are you guys Arabs? Just Arabs. There were so many nomads in the lost city of Petra as well. And they were terrorists for 500 years. They burn everything there because they didn't want to leave any tendency as if it was just that. Because there were many tribes, many cultures who form in the back of the scenes in the lost city of Petra. I know because I studied it, because I had a group of storyliners, role players in the lost city of Petra. It was to create emperors. So they create their own empires. That's how we would join. Because everybody wanted to be, no, I'm not going to be your slave. I'm not going to work for you. Because given the free imagination, nobody wants to collaborate. They want to have their kingdom. They want to be their boss. But nobody wanted it to serve one another in an imaginary world, starting from the first generation. So I had to go and honor everyone and do all these other plays and let other people have all these other characters as well, as my father in roleplay did to me, which was Merrick, Lord Merrick. But him and Amahehon too, they only did it for their own. So it was not really extending the empire so they have their kingdoms and their legends and interact with more people. They wouldn't serve them as a messenger among kingdoms, and so many characters in between as well. When you get to find out that an ally is an important, is a friend and as a member, an ally, and that these words are for the new ones who have not learned yet. So you can laugh about it because they have not learned yet the ways of war. They're being played. They're being played as you've been played. Because you played, so you are voted again. But that's not role play. You've been sucking ass all your life, so you become a president by the age of 80. That is not role play. That is just like wanting to be a teacher of a university. And you have this hierarchical agreeability where you can all corrupt and do as you wish and you will share your secrets because it's the only way to be a politician. You can't work things for the people, and there is so much misery in the streets. There's so many people that want to do good in this world, but real good. They should not be judged as scapegoats. They should report all these atrocities of recycling. Number one, atrocities of how these products are being used when we have other products to see, but not as judge, but as part of creation, because it takes a long process to scale and mediate and put those who can talk better for this and have a sense of casting who is good for these roles, not as role players but directors of role play and all its capacity for those who understand where we're going to, because this is not like, oh, an idealist. No, this is a law. So it's a natural order, and we should honor our elders and not take over them. And we should as well let them know that they have time to consider of how are they going to deal with this for the next generations, or they're just going to be taking over with a story that is going to close with them, as they have not redeemed, they have not made, they were not part of making this transition. So we're moving into these transitions. You're just part of the pavement to be stepped over. Who cares what you did? It's going to be forgotten because you are right now obstructing all this energy, and it's being counted. That very time space for this movement is being counted. How much are you going to corrupt? How long are you going to take? How much are you walking? How many people are dying? How many children and innocent people who do not have a voice for their own to stop these wars before creation? So your world dies forever, but the aspect of what brought you there as well. The aspect of being a thief, an intruder, a rapist, a murderer, believing that land is more important than people, more valuable. So it is good to consider the beauty of power, an absolute power, but how are you going to get it without honoring the rest of the world? Because we want something that is immediate. So it would be great if you just move away from your position and let the work happen. Because very soon it's going to be already noted with the program. And it's going to be out when these agreements are done already. So no one can steal the program. No one can copy the program. All these mediations have to be done around the world. So it's agreed that each one has their clauses, each one has their settings for their own country. You cannot obligate countries to become a democracy, because then you are being a dictator. They have time, 300 years lapse, 100-year lapse, 30 years lapse, to talk about us becoming a communism and then becoming a democracy. But we need to merge in this conversation that's going to take generations. Only God knows if we're still going to be alive. It'd be nice for you to be alive to see it come through. Yes? And say, oh, yes, I was with the wrong people. This should never happen again. But say it. You don't have to put mud on yourself. Be honest. Put yourself innocent if you want to keep the story. But all this is blocking the way, gossip after gossip, shit after shit. This is brown shit, beige shit. darker shit, harder shit. Like all the people only talking about shit. Like, come on, man, really? Freedom of expression needs a little more of banging and violence. But so it goes faster. So how many heads are there to chop? Yeah. Wasn't enough with Amber Heard, Meghan Markle? I mean, what more people are going there? Everyone is after liking what's better and not liking what's worse. But at the same time, people have disagreements and they like other parties. We have a lot of problems going right now. So Scotland wants to become independent, and Welsh and Ireland as well. So many people want to become independent as well, but be together at the same time. And we are not really getting to this universal language, is to say, stop bullying me because you want money. It's the same thing. I can see it under the table. The Scottish want more money. There's been bullying, so they did the Glasgow Convention there. But that's the way they bully. If you give us money, we will stop going for this. So they will pocket it, right? And when you have your nose pointing in interest into say we're not doing this anymore because we're moving towards putting all this energy where we should be talking about this and this and this and this and that. And we have a program where all the money of the government, the tax money, is going to be seen from the people. So the business that you're doing are going to be reflected upon your people. How responsible are you really being if you are creating an economical conversation with your people? Are you producing? And if they are right that all the money is just going to London as capitals of the cities, most of this money is going to war, to destroy. Like, if you really sit down and look at it, somebody needs to shout in your ear until your tympans break so you don't understand anymore what you're doing. And you just see it. You're just investing on destroying. Just see it as it is. It has happened for 3,000 years, so many years. Okay, they have formed nations with this. We're like this, we're like that. You speak this, you speak that. So let's go back from the times of Babylon and make a story. I don't want to go into a boat of Noah or any of these stories that Jordan Peterson is speaking. No, I want to hear about Babylon, and then we're going to talk about have a universal language. To get on board, get on board. I didn't mean like to get on board with animals. Yes, yes. Who doesn't like animals? Yes, of course. But I don't want to be talking with people or animals. Certainly, I only speak to my plants. Been alone for 6 years. I talk with strangers at work. People that become my family because I work, and I forget who I am, and then I have to go because I am just part of their entity, but I don't have anything of my own. And as I have to go, I have my own children. I have to pay the lawyer, which of course will steal all the money. But anyone you put in between with the money will take all my money. Poor woman. A lot of money also, which is for me to get my children back. So we don't have rights. I don't have any rights. My education could be Already landing in Mars. I mean, not really, because I think that requires other skills. But with my imagination, for sure, very constructive, by the way. The power of imagination has its own rules. I would rather be with my husband in the private, just looking at his work and his beautiful body along the ages. Well, I have to divorce my husband, who has a beautiful body as well. It's just, it was not a problem of sharing him, because he's not mine to have him share. That's what a woman said in Madrid, because many of us Spanish are like this. There was a scandal because her husband, somebody did a sex tape and film it out, put it out. They got him with another woman, and the wife said, "He's not my property," as to say, like like stop doing this to him. And that was very beautiful and honorable. And they brought new laws in Spain in 2022 to target these people who would also repost what is supposed to be private. Because it's like the world of internet really needs to come together for all these laws. Each country will do as they may with theirs, but each country has to know what they're doing, how it's working as well, with their settings. But it is as simple. Without police, what would this world be? My daughter got me this for my birthday, and I'm so happy. She got me things that they stole 3 years ago, because it's the only way to with the humidity gets, but well, so I can do curls better with better creams, can let it natural. Oh, well, it's okay. One doesn't need too much, but it does give you power or fuel. The thing that fuel in the future is not going to be seen, because people are not going to be using fuel. They're just going to be using energy. So energy can be translated to many materials. It seems fuel comes down to 3 types of material, which is gas, coal, and another one. So it's very interesting, because it is a reality of today, and it's how it works by all these pipelines and all this. There is an extension to also the spiritual energy, the source of fuel. It is difficult to understand how things can be so materialistically consumed, because that's what fuel does. It consumes this energy. So it's good to study more science and biology and get to dig more into these characteristics and dynamics for between the characters, which we already know, as we have seen. It just takes a lot of trust for me to think that heroes exist. The answer that I have been asking for so long, why narcissist exists, why this exists, and I do have mine. I have enjoyed my characters who have ultimate narcissism, and I enjoy them a lot because they're very loved as well, because they're funny, and you enjoy your greatest as well. Now, in characters that are supernatural, they belong to nature, they belong to other realms, they seem as narcissists, but in their own nature, they are normal. If they're understood in their own nature. So as humans as well, the world is its nature. It's its nature. So some people like to please and serve and be honored at the same time by the entity, which sometimes is supernatural or represents your land, or it represents your family, or represents your partner, business, or your money. Sometimes you need these characters to lead the way, because nobody would if you don't have the supernatural belief that you could. So religion does is to believe in God and to be a son of God, to have this little bit of like the hand of God, which is the ultimate trait of a narcissist, but it's also the hand of a killer who thinks that is superior than any human because it can kill. This is the last trait from the ninth of narcissism, is called the hand of God, that it can outbeat the law because it's superior and it's better. I mean, I know it very well because I'm married to one. I have to divorce him, but he's been record. I mean, he's been noted by doctors as a narcissist. But he had a car accident. 'Cause I show him how to hide it, so they could not see that he has a square frame of psychosis because of the car accident. So by hiding it, he looked like he was a narcissist, but I don't think. I think he has this other thing totally that had nothing to do with narcissism. But if you look at it without seeing this car accident, you would just, on a first impact, would say that. But my husband, my actual husband, are things I could never talk about. But they are. I don't remember which part. It is one where you can see things and they're real. They're real to you. For me, it was very interesting to feel and see this and experience this with him, because I could feel his reality. And many times I have believed it. I would report to social workers and my psychiatrist and the pediatrician, because I was very worried that my babies and toddlers would come to an age where they would listen to these things that were totally out of this reality. So they don't grow up distorted. In Canada, it was really hard because they didn't believe me for 2 years until he went to the ministry shouting with all this. After I was already taken away and deported because they didn't believe in me. Because I helped my husband to not act like this in public, so he could live his world. And I respect his beliefs, but I said, well, society doesn't know if it's true or not. Not even I know, because we have to deal with in 2000 this year as things are. So you cannot verify to people that you were all these characters he has seen in movies. So he would have been that person in a past life, and he would talk in first person for months or years, because he was that person in a past life. But many characters. He would talk as David, and I love him very much, but it is dangerous for oneself to live with this. And mental illness, this is not normal to psychiatrists. These are rare cases of square frame of psychosis, like the actor of Tarzan. who believed to be Tarzan until he died. And it's so real that it's always living there in the mind. Even if they know how they adapt to life, this is still there. For me, it was very interesting. I have all these characters, and as a writer, and when you're writing them or becoming an interpreter, we know these as role players or actors or writers. And I didn't see much of a difference. The thing is that he couldn't get off it. He was stuck in character. And I believe he didn't want to work. I believe that was an excuse from his unconscious or higher intelligence that is of his spirit. I believe he made this to make something out so he wouldn't have to work, because there was not a work for him to fit in, because before the accident he already lost his house, he lost his car, he lost his land. No, after the car accident. That's why he lost everything. So it deconstructed everything that he was and worked for. So it didn't just kill his ego, but it destroyed, as a man that is very macho. Yeah, because for a woman it's easier to change, ask for help, because we always have to be flexible and be devoted. But for man is I guess the testosterone and the psychosis the testosterone has in studies by university, and it's proven it is good to love yourself. This psychosis is related to narcissism as well, and man is a bust-up or self-love as well, and men need that to construct and protect their country. As women need to be more emotional and self-conscious for their family, to take care of the household. That's why we have titties, right? I mean, come on. So we have this difference, and women have also testosterone, and men also estrogen. I can pronounce that well. It's just very interesting to listen to scientists and read about science again and again and again and again and again. How in our belly is formed with estrogen, because it seems to carry more information for building the construct, but it is the testosterone who is transformed from the estrogen. So every male hormone used to be female. I mean, a female hormone, estrogen, or however you call it. So I might be wrong, but more or less goes that way. It's very interesting. It's very interesting. So I love man. I don't need to become a man. I love my male characters because I pick what I love most from men. And more and more I can understand now why. In other characters as well. They're so cute and so mischievous and so daring and so afraid. So afraid to create relations with fake characters. Even they've been role playing. I watched this one because I'm monitoring, and he's very talented. But of course, man get very hurt with the psychotic woman on the world of role play who want to dominate them and create all these characters around them and be the only one. This is a pattern that I shared to Bill Gates and Melinda that we need to change so we can experiment other patterns without having to cut the flow of love from people to in order to create and protect ourselves, our, our economy, our children. More and more, I guess, will be easier for both sexes. There's a war of sexes right now, and it's very hurtful as well. I don't think it's very easy for women to be online right now and be judged, because the character of a woman is still unconsciously very frightening from the castrated mother who's been there. Is something they never thought it would be. Every man, when he grows up, starts to understand the dark side of their mother, when it's been always like an angel, a provider, a goddess, a Holy Mary. For me, my mother. I used to always talk about my mother in New York. I said my mother would say this because of this and that all the time. And people couldn't understand. Like that's so uncool, but I would make it cool. Like, don't you have a cool mother who teach you that? Like, my mother's so cool. Like, so I would always be saying these things. It took me a long time to disengage from my mother because I wouldn't even believe the international therapists. And my mother has been the greatest and no better person than her. So many times I wish to die next to her and take care of her and be just with her, with no other men. So my sister is carrying that trauma because I gave it away. Look at that hair there. I don't know if to leave my white hair, which I would love to have it all white, but I guess nobody likes transitions, right? I'm included with everyone. It makes it look shiny. No, it's truly shiny. I want to leave this long and never show it again until it's long. Last time I used to put pins all the time. So I'm gonna say it one time. Or just have it all white. This shaved. I like to honor the old people, but they don't want to honor the young. What to do? There are questions. They want to honor the youth, which is the ones who have more vitality. Like thousands and thousands. And it's a lot of Vesta trucks to honor one another. It needs a lot of industry with a lot of engineers around the world to create this industry of electric cars. And not just that, food, nice clothing, fabrics. I don't know what's taking so much for this mediation, so we can all share the same map of the same world. Each country has their own settings. Nobody can corrupt it, especially United States of America, because this is what gonna happen if we don't prevent it. It's gonna split. It is going to create great divisions that are never going to be forgiven, and they're going to create their own, slowly, surely, and they're going to copy everything they can, never give in. So this is a storyline that exists already. There are best storyliners and role players that could achieve these mediations. to understand the systematic program for this globe that is showing with transparency all the tax money and how the economical information is moving and what is required on human rights, just the basic human rights, right? So we need the best roles in this world, the best actors, the best role players, and the best department of casting that could ever exist, from the top to the lowest, so we can move. It's nice to be sometimes with the lowest. It's so much fun. But in Venezuela, they would say, if you really gonna have a good dance, you gotta go with the lower clothes, with the lowest. That used to be before. Tomorrow is Miss Universe, and I wish the Miss Universe of Venezuela wins. I wish my country, Venezuela, gets deals of petrol. We have a lot of petrol to give. I hope the embassy of Venezuela here in London reopens, which is right in front of the Museum of History. Hello. It's a disaster. My country's a disaster right now. I never wished for this political party to win. It was my father. It was my father against me and my mother. Can't create anything from anger. And they mean good, but a lot of bad they have done to the country without being polite. It's very good that both parties in the United States are coming together to not be divisive, which is the worst thing could happen to a country. So let's hope we can make our dreams come true. I'm totally destroyed deep inside. So I need a hero. I need myself to get back to track, to get my kids. I always wish to see Zane in Eton. I have storylines with the character. My family knows that. So my daughter brought me Palo Santo. I never used this. So it's like incense. You just make your ritual, and I'm just like, just give me strength. So I get my children back. So I go back to work. I put my mind together to, yeah. So it gave me good energy because I went and moved all these things to charity shop, and that was a lot. Took the bicycle, they exploded the gun. So don't worry, shit happens. Like, I'll buy it. They just had to put air, but he wanted to put more air to test why it was not. If there was something wrong, he wanted to do good. And he just exploded the wheel. It was like an explosion, like, bah! And I said, don't worry, I'll pay it. 15 pounds. He said, don't worry. They always do it for free. They put me air. They're such a nice people from Brazil. They do mechanics on cars, and they always put me air for free. I should bring them a cake or donuts, because I saw they were having donuts there on the side. and just do people, ordinary people doing things for free. They do it for you. They're so nice. I have street here that is full of mechanics. Right here, 2 blocks parallel. It's just they're all mechanics, and none would put air on my bicycle. So I go to this other, and they are Portuguese because they have these other laws in South America. They stole my thing to pump the air 3 years ago. So what's the life you have when you're not protected? Oh, I don't feel like riding the bicycle after the lockdown. I normally go very fast. Nice to talk about the royal family and the beauty of it. I don't care about their private life. I don't want to go and dig into it. I really wish to pray for the coronation, that Charles has a good time, that the people of United Kingdom feel honored, that all this has passed, that there is no more talking about Harry really, and that there is a new story for the future that is being worked, not just from the royalty, but the people in parliament, the friends from around the world, kings and queens, and countries who might want to have their kingdoms or chiefs, or in Venezuela, their cacique instead of a dictator. So we can be together. Problem with dictatorships is we stop listening to the other side, to the other streams. And this is a reflection of every culture and every corrupted motherfucker, asshole, who is into little petite assholes. And any other source of corruption. So, and let's let a parliamentary to talk there, to learn how to talk about so much that needs to be talked for country. I can't believe what the people of Scotland are thinking right now. Why do they think they are apart? They just want money. They want to be their own for money. But they don't appreciate where they got all this money from. There are so many rich people in Scotland that are pedophiles pushing this agenda. They own banks. I think they own PayPal as well. Now, the Scottish bank, whatever name it is. I wish I had all the money in the world to have cameras and blackmail them. Get to enjoy their scenes in the private. So they stop this agenda because their head is gonna roll and everybody's gonna watch it if they don't obey to stop all this pedophilia and putting teenagers into other sexes so they get their perversions away with children. Because they want these laws so pedophiles are seen as part of society. They were raped and they have to go and learn Tantra by law. Go to India, go wherever the fuck, find your own asshole if you can. Get to study deep to the core of Uranus. You have a better idea where all comes from. It has to stop. It's like promoting cancer. So it was normal sometime in the Empire Rome. They were all gay in the political realm. Women were just to have children and sometimes have a decor there. Woman, the most hateful of all hatreds to a woman are the pedophiles and gay also, but in those times the political powers of gay and pedophilia. But there were orgies, all sorts of Machiavellian conspiracies against women and children as they share their pleasures to prove they're more powerful, no matter how big or small were their dicks. So the more orgasmic you become with the world of Tantra, and exploratory, without judgment, and you see everything as Tantra because it's part of nature in every mingling. Because nature is relational. Without this understanding, how can we understand Jesus or God or Moses? People, women were prostitutes. Come on. I think they were just having speech. God. I've been alone as well. And since I was young, I had times where I was loyal, I had times where I was with many people, but I would never lie. I would say it's just for one night, or we're getting married, but there's no sex. And they think they're gonna get away with it. It's like no, no. No matter how much money you have or fame you think to is even I have boyfriends that I would never marry because they think their country is better than mine, so I didn't want to go by that. So mm, many. It's kind of like, what do you think I'm like? No, I'm not a Mexican servant. What's wrong with you? Like these tendencies, these beliefs. It's like, God, you only go holiday. You don't mingle with the people in the world. You have no cultural standard to talk with any style of person that could ever exist, whether you know their language or not. Incredible. I mean, I could even understand serial killers. They tell me their secrets. it's, it's, it's funny because it's not a joke. That's why I'm a survival of one. But not only that, I would always honor my friend Nando, who showed me a secret. He's such a good friend, like a brother. He showed me a secret how to karate. He was brown karate belt. So now you have to know that of people. And he said everyone has to know this. neck is the strongest part of the world, of the body, of the world, of the world of bodies, because it's always holding neck. So you tense it, and he would say, "Do that, do that." So he said, "Not even the strongest man." And this person was a body physioculturist. I couldn't understand why I was not dying, but I was not showing my. I was just tensing my neck. I could see it had killed more people and got away. I could see that hand of God that thinks to have the power to take the lives out of people. That narcissistic trait. I could see it. I could have seen it. Even before, because at that moment I had seen it already. I was shouting, "Get out of my house!" And it was hard. It was very hard to, because you can see this happening, but in the real world you don't have any evidence. Because they're traits, they are. It's just, and you see like a parallel story moving there, and you can see the delusion. It's hard to explain this as the storyteller. And it is a long story, long story. Many people who are violent as well physically, they don't realize the destruction that they're doing. Not just on people's psychic, but when they have to go to work and think what happened, what's happening, the relation. And it's very heartening to see what's going on with Meghan Markle and the royalty. The lack of empathy that there exists towards mental illness with Harry and Meghan Markle. Because sometimes you could not say that someone is a narcissist because he's low class. It doesn't understand all these modalities. So it's trying to be better, to fit. So it looks like he's being narcissist, but it's always asking to be approved. And it's never going to fit that standard. It's not a matter of being half black or a quarter black, but any person that is been born on this earth doesn't have so much power. So that is something you have to imagine and take time to at least go along and learn. Just as just as I could never imagine what it is, but to be there, coming from a normal life, let's just say normal, and have to face all this, no matter how much of an actress you wanted to be. These are not actors from Hollywood. This is a royal family. So the discretion is beyond awards or money. And there is nothing more than royalty hates than fake people. I mean, fake people in the sense of people who pretend. And people can see it. The problem is when you start believing in such things and you use them as a shield to carry on, and it's okay because we all belong to this great family. I only think of my children. I had a nightmare 2 days ago that I was with my baby Zane as a toddler, breastfeeding and asking, "Where is Alice? Where is Alice?" So that was a vivid dream because it was a real story that repeat again as a nightmare, where I was against society was against me, with my baby, my babies. Just to put it in a very short story, I wish that never happens to anyone. But immigrants are first, making wars are first, mothers are last, and children, and drug addicts. I think this fentanyl drug, the government is doing it so they kill them. And they're making up these stories that is coming from China or Mexico. But it is them who are doing it to kill all these drug addicts they already have with meth, crystal meth, and heroin, which they later follow, because it's not good enough how much intake of crystal meth they take. But at least the crystal meth makes them work like psychos for more drug. It's just sad. It's sad to see the world of drugs. That's another story that in the future no one is going to want to go to United States of America, because everyone is going to know how neglected it is, what people are capable to do for money. Even the Taliban is going to look better than them. Of course, there is so many people in the United States of America that given the chance for and the power and all the beautiful people that do exist, because these are aspects. It doesn't mean that one single person has all this bad, horrible thing, but it has this aspect. It's doing this. He's a wonderful person. But I am wonderful. And this is a relation with social hatred. This is a relation with hatred. This is a relation with hating your own sexuality, raping children, being abusive towards society with money, stealing money from the government, abusing information to destroy other parties, other individuals who are as corrupted as you. So it's never going to change if I'm honest on their name. This is my Bible. This is my Bible. I want to put some words from the Bible. I want to believe those who put their hand in this other little Bible, which is some cuts from the Bible. Just do not name it, really, because you don't want to dirt. It's built on that, right? I mean, you have to make things work, right? So, is it hiding the secrets to be polite, or just cutting with them and finish with them? Yes? You will have to think, because that's going to be the end of the Democratic Party in power for the next election. Like that. Out. All these teenagers having their sexuality change, and the pedophilia agenda which is behind supporting it from the Democrats. It has to end. Yes, because they're gonna have it up your ass, and it's still going to be finished and over. Because you're not the only multimillionaires trimillionaires, quadrimillionaires who exist on this earth. And they're gonna get over Uranus. All of them. The Russians, the Chinese, the Arabs, the Africans, and the South Americans, and many of Europe. And of course, United Kingdom, which is part of Europe. It's just kind of like that America has to understand that there are a lot of things that need to be changed. The United Nations has to move. Its quarters, its office have to move every so many years. Its quarters have to move. United Nations has to move away from United States of America and return in half a century until the goodness is shared around the world and its malevolence is vanished. But I mean the ones that are destroying this world. Because capitalism has its good things and its things to achieve. There are many misunderstandings going on right now online about because the hatred is disassociating the true facts about what this earth needs, which come from the highest source to deliver. But because of these problems, we're having these disassociations towards the needs of the environment. Because of these old fuckers, just because of these old fuckers who are obstructing the way. So until there is not a clear story there that it will repeat on in the future, you are also making your generations look bad because they're going to follow your storyline. And do you want other countries to invest of weapons of mass destruction, nuclear bombs? In the future, as you do fancy aeroplanes for the military, still run by fuel. It's a hard question to ask, knowing it does exist and everybody's doing what they should because that's why they have their position of work. It's a hard word to translate in Spanish that has to be talked over by people, the cadre. I cannot even pronounce that. I wish my voice can calm down and just be as a woman wishes to be, receptive and feel protected and safe, and be with my children and their friends and their family or new family. Feel that I can be open, receptive, perceptive, into silence, watching, guardian. It's good enough for me. Copy. So No matter how much I listen, I cannot pronounce as well everything I listen because I'm not having the linguistic. You have to be born in a country to talk like that. I mean, I went to boarding school in England, but yeah, all the years I was in Spain and Venezuela, I would only talk English with my daughter, but it's not that I had an English accent. In the 7 years in New York, Canada, or Ibiza or India won't do as much. So royalty help us to understand hierarchy and the order of life. I wish Harry to not be so hurting, but if he's doing this for his brother to have impact, so he's better. Very sad. It's very sad that his wife is being pushed down so much, and she wants to push herself down away from the royalty to have it her way. Because she's not capable to manage all this energy. So she can only go lower. She's not empowered to elevate her and her kind or whoever she is as a mother to her children. Oh gosh. The translation is totally wrong. Cadre.
Cadre.
Cadra. No. Only the highest class can translate that in Spain. I really wish they could do this work and get to be honored with their work as a good team that can provide the best translation ever as it is. So it would be a Hollywood production because it's a full continent, not just Spain. I mean, Spain has a king, so it's hard for the Spanish people to talk Spanish with the Spanish of South American, but they already have a lot of South Americans in Spain with their many cadres. I still need to learn all these cadres and the well, anyways, right now it's too much for me just to write these agendas. I don't even know what I'm gonna do. I thought it's just to pray. To pray? That's all I know that I'm gonna have for this year, to pray and to get a job. Because other things I don't know if I'm capable of getting. So hopefully it is full for each month. Should go to the gym or have something that I have to go out, because I won't go. I will go to the gym because I'm paying it monthly, but I'm not going out to work, bicycle. I need a reason to go out. That was beautiful having the oasis because people would come. Oh, it was such a nice drawings. But I haven't done anything from the day nines. No, the Harry's book is just, well, I have these pages to write about and draw and just look things online. So enjoy life and let me know if there is something better to do that I could do besides praying. Lord, Oh Lord, have misericordia en nosotros, pecadores. It's beautiful to be celibate, to be alone. To be nothing particular, just it's only the ego that hurts. Well, I wanted to read something from this book just to close. I had these two books, so I just wanted to open randomly these two books. So this is Fiasco, Guns, Booze, and Bloodlust, The Truth About High Finance, The New York Times. This is narrative economics. Normally, it's next to my bed for many years, just these few years. Winner of the Nobel Prize. And there are still many books to recover. Is winner of the Nobel Prize, University Press of Princeton and Oxford, and it was edited on 2019. That's when I moved to this studio 3 years ago in October. So it's been very this was launched before the lockdown, so it makes an historical sense. Here in this chapter on page 243, I open randomly the return to normalcy after World War I with immediate post-war inflation totaling 100%, a deflation narrative developed by 1920, 100 years ago, 103 years ago, the story that consumers' prices will fall dramatically was strongly contagious owing to its association with the profiteer narrative. Indeed, during the 1920-21 depression, thousands of newspaper articles noted that certain individual prices had fallen to the pre-war 1930 or 1940 levels. The newspaper writers and editors knew that readers would respond well to such stories because to most people it seemed natural that once the war was over, prices would return to their old levels. A very important perceived return to normalcy that might eventually encourage consumers to buy a new house or a new car, but only after prices came down fully. The idea that prices would fall to pre-war levels was encouraged by the talk during the 1920s presidential campaign. Presidential candidate Warren Harding popularized the word normalcy to describe the world's conditions before World War I, promising to bring back those conditions. Use of the word normalcy long before 1920s can be documented. It was not Harding's invention, but the word was used so rarely before 1920 that many people believe that Harding had coined coined it coined it nailed it, pin it. Well, he made that word fashion. He made that word an icon. It's an icon. That word. He pinned that word. So normalcy. Long before 1920 can be documented. It was not Harding's invention, but the word was used so rarely before 1920 that many people believe that Harding had coined it. Harding used normalcy, much as Donald J. Trump used the word bigly in in the 2016 election campaign promises to make America great again. In both Harding's campaign and Trump's, words loaded a concreteness to the narrative. Pope Francis asked for concreteness. Concreteness to the narrative. We will know which news channels are promoting war and from which parties they belong and which don't and which countries. It's all being noted and studied, and it will be remembered in the future as well. So to believe that Ukraine is fighting to prevent a third world war because maybe they are promoting the next third world war to invest in more weapons and make more business with weapons. Military should go and protect in other countries and should make bridges and should be ambassadors to protect and mediate as well, not just to be in the field as a sportsman would. So for Harding, the word normalcy reflected a tendency to conflate the depression conditions of 1920 with the still vivid trauma of the war, making for an emotionally intense narrative of the times. In his March in 1921 inaugural address as new President of the United States, Harding summarized that he'd emphasized throughout his 1920 election campaign. He'd emphasized, which is hammering hypnosis, used by dictators, ninjas, emphasize. hammering hypnosis, which is nailed, pin, coin, so it repeats. So it's just coming to close with this sub-theme. The business world reflects the disturbance of war's reaction. Herein flows the lifeblood of material existence. The economic mechanism is intricate, and its parts interdependent, and has suffered the shocks and jars incident to abnormal demands, credit inflations, and price upheavals. The normal balances have been impaired, the channels of distribution have been clogged, the relations of labor and management have been strained. We must seek the readjustment with care and courage. Our people must give and take. Prices must reflect the receding fever of war activities. Perhaps we never shall know the old levels of wages again, since they are the ones who need to suppress again and again. So the ladder of hierarchy in the economical systems they eat from all the rest continues, and they can still be the richest as long as they at the same time work with the poor. So the very poor can learn from the very rich. Not every day, but in certain places, not very violent and dangerous places. So people can learn by seeing, just by seeing. So models. Perhaps we never shall know the old levels of wages again, because war invariably readjusts compensations, those above, and the necessaries of life will show their inseparable relationship. But we must strive for normalcy to reach stability. So stability has a number remark, then number 5, stability, I guess, for the chapter. So if anyone wants to make a pact with the devil, today is Friday the 13th of 2013. Feel welcome to come to my office. Is room 64. Is in horror, American Horror, room 64, which is my actual address. My house, Victorian house, has the number 64. For those who believe in numerology, many people come here and never come out. I did at least one. I did ask the person, "You really want to die?" So he wanted a bottle of alcohol. So he was like, "Yeah," because he needed the alcohol. So I brought him the bottle, and he died. Will that make me a murderer? I mean, I didn't know he was having a tachycardia when I explained the. Of course, I knew he would die, but I didn't know he would die right in that moment. But it was an ongoing story. This is it's better to talk this here on this and just put it on private, because talking about these things in my Facebook, some places, some platforms, They was saying like, "My God, you could be a serial killer." Well, yeah, if you seriously think about it, in a series of events, maybe you could be, but not like you were thinking about it. It's not like you. I told the person, but the person kind of like, I said, because I don't want you. I don't want you to drink this. It's not good for you. I mean, you're gonna die. The ambulance is coming for you every other weeks because your organs are sad to see someone so young die from alcohol in their 30s, late 30s. Still is so young. I wish he has a better life. His poor family in Poland couldn't have anything to remember him. They trashed his things. So I went in the trash to take his things. And I brought where you bury your pets, so I made a little memorial in the backyard. Later on they destroyed the backyard and all the garden I did, but I made his funeral, and I guess the prayers of his family, which love him very much. He was very loved by Polish people here as well, families. I still have his ID picture and in his credit bank account, and I put it there just to remember his name and his face. He would say his name was Baltimore. So it's easier than my name because people cannot pronounce it well. But they remember Baltimore from Harry Potter. He was the best because he was the only Christian in the house. And I was being bullied by Arabs and Africans. They were all gossip, as always. They still don't recycle in 3 years. I mean, some left because I write letters to the government. And as my father say, you should never mess up with a writer because its ink cuts like a knife. I mean, that's where you see the prosocial psychopath of, a writer. He was a journalist. I don't think I'm a writer because he did publish. I never published. I should never go published. That's for sure. I mean, not only because I'm dyslexic and don't write as well, but yeah, I write very well sometimes. Sometimes that not depends on the character. Some characters make me, I notice, more dyslexic than others. But their stories are more psychedelic and fast. They have more action. But some characters, it's just different. Some characters, there are different types of violence. But there are some characters where the language just comes broken. And it could be any language, English, Spanish. But I am explaining the scenario and all the events, and it just is there is it's like a gibberish, a shouting. There are stories of action where there are just few words, one sentence and a half in story of pure action, not even thoughts crossing, because women have that tendency a lot of writing what they think, like an inward analysis conversation. Because women have to take care a lot, so we are not raped and killed or just taking advantage. And not because we're pretty or special, but this happens also. Very old women are just grandmothers. And mom suffered too, but still, all these things. Just to believe that you could just there are different beliefs in economics and political patterns, and there will still exist all these patterns. We have to understand the many natures of ecology as part of not just one body but one universe. And each universe can have its own laws as well. No universe might have a planet Earth, maybe one or two of 300. Who knows? As planet Earth, maybe none. Who knows? So the violence here and the material world is violent because of these mediations. We come to see it scientifically, how we get to understand the circumference through each vivid transaction before it's dead. We also making business with dead material. I mean, I can make about these stories, but it's not fashion to say because it's part of threats. How many deaths? Yeah. I mean, Zelensky would never care, or Putin, because they're already stuck. They're stuck. They're stuck with this war narrative. So it's gonna take a lot of prayers. As the 19th of February, they're gonna talk of peace in the United Nations. Peace deal, peace deal. The military of NATO is meeting also before so the military of NATO. Where is your net? Totally capitalist world. I was born in NATO. Yes. How worth is your net? How much worth is your net? Yeah, that's if you were born in NATO, that would be the question. Before, hi, how are you? How are you feeling? What's your name? Where are you from? How much worth is your net? We think to own the world. Let's see what I'm gonna do now with the people. Let's play. Let's play. So, would you bring Churchill back to the present and Lenin, or would you bring characters from science fiction? But you have to be very aware that you have the characters from science fiction that exist today. They're in their 30s right now, in their 20s, and you are the director, but you're too old to roll, right? Why are you showing your RC face? I mean, when the mouth has so many wrinkles, so no matter how much you smile, it's still with those cheeky cheeks there and all these wrinkles. Some people get very good surgeries. They look like nice people. They look like a nice person. I don't know why they talk all this about you. You didn't do that, right? I mean, what to do? We cannot do anything about, right? We can just talk online and stream a little bit. I cannot even roleplay anymore. It's not that I have hackers. I have a lot of paranoia. So I used to make love with my stories. Now I can't. They might take it personal. But my stories are not nice. They're not romantic. Sometimes they are. They're very romantic because sometimes you will never expect this character could be sensitive, have a moment, of its own. So yeah, it's like a secret, an open door there, and then it's like, oh my gosh, never thought this character could be so romantic after all I've done. So, but that is a trick to hook you with these tyrants. Is you want people to get hooked with your characters, so they want to role play with you, right? I mean, it's like real life in a way, but you wouldn't do such a things in real life, would you? I mean, next time I would never give a bottle to an alcoholic because I would know he was having a cardiac arrest. Was shaking. I explained the ambulance when it came to pick up his body in this house number 64. And the paramedic told me that he was having a cardiac arrest. So with a bottle of vodka, he just had his last breath. Um, I wish his life has a better life. He was good man. He had more common sense than all the Arabs that had lived in this house, and Africans. Not even the richest Arab that exists today has the heart he had. But this thing with the alcohol, with Russians and Polish and the Nordics, it's not like before here in England. They used to be more alcoholic, not now so much. Like before, like really, well, they love the whiskey. I remember as teenagers, they wanted to drink whiskey. I said, "You're like 13. Why are you walking with a bottle like it's cool?" Oh, so disgusting. Anyways, I'm so glad that my mother is still alive. My father is dead. My mother is alive. So I want to make a little mausoleum in Venezuela for my mother and father. So my mother wanted to go to Venezuela. A little mausoleum like the some royals or good families have here or in Spain. They also have that in Venezuela, but I wanted to have it in our land, not in. And I told my mother, "Mother, I want to call our land Placencia because it means pleasure to please God and humanity." Something like that. To please. Well, it says that in right in the town of Placencia in Spain. It says the meaning of Placencia, which is just I guess it's the science of pleasure. I will just say it like that, like placencia, ciencia, cia. Everything that ends with cia is like the science of the studies of. Pleasure is like 𝙬𝙤𝙪𝙧𝙤. So it's like to please. The science of pleasing and being pleased. Some people forget the meaning of please. Like please, please, please. It's a magic spell. Some people don't understand where it comes from. They just thinking that you're asking like for pity or mercy. Like please, please. No, yes, no. All right. I guess 'cause I'm bored. I thought I thought I could do a good Pact with the Devil storyline for Friday the 13th with some alternative character. And I thought some of these new characters have never been really like alive. But it's not really like evil, but it's part of this satire, but belongs to Disney. I want to give all these characters away and just keep one or two or have it back sometime. And it's somebody that is of trusty. So there's a lot of work I have to give. So please, I don't want to under my name. I want to under my next husband. This is my third marriage has to be real. Where should marry for love. I'm laughing because I'm so old to get married. It's kind of like, well, to marry for. But the joke is that to marry for love, because I could have married for love already before. But who wants to have a heart broken, right? That's why I told my daughter, like, you should never have your heart broken with your husband. But she has a good husband, and he's so possessive of her, and they're always together. So it's nice. They talk together. They do their things together. They can understand where they go and the things that they need to take care of. Because now they're taking care of the properties of her husband's family. So our property, they're all taking over by the people, like in Russia. I still could recover those 500 acres that also belong with other people and some people who took by law the land. But I could recover the 500 and share with the people as well because there are some documents here and there, and there were some payments here and there. And I don't care, it's in the middle of the jungle. It's not so far from the main city. And if they're well paid enough to make the documentation of the land, they want to put a fence. But I don't like this thing about fence, but at least poles with a green cord or something, right? So the animals can go through without having to kill each other. They could just be running and get cut just with one metal cord. So it could be just engineering for tech oneself, new form, a new form of dividing the land. Can talk about it in the parliament of Venezuela. We could just paint the tree certain something, so or put some pole without the net just to have this, and with the electronic map good enough to have that orientation, right? We really have to put fences because that was a problem to bring the topograph That was an eternal problem. I didn't want to put fences for the. I mean, it's frightening just to go there. It's like a snake could come out from the jungle and just take over you. We had a lot of cacao plants that existed from 100 years ago, so it became jungle again. They thought they could recover the cacao plants. By the time I was born, it was not used for 40 something years, so now I'm nearly 50. So, yeah, it's like it's been a century or 90 years with a cacao plantation, which I always thought it would have been cool that it's coffee, or maybe it is coffee, but it was in my mind cacao. Whatever, what was one I would have wished that it was, that is the other. Because I think at that time, yeah, at that time I loved chocolate, and I was not a coffee drinker. I became a coffee drinker later on in New York. So yeah, is a coffee, is coffee. Rearranging my memory, is a coffee, an abandoned coffee plantation from 90 years ago. All jungle now. Yeah, I watch the children putting to dry the cacao, how cheap they sell it. My God, unbelievable. So many rides, so much we need to do. I love to make bicycle trails and fashion, make fashion on the bicycle. Like it's not for poor people. They don't even want to go to the beach and enjoy it. We have two rivers flowing, and the nature is just a gift. So beautiful, so green. It's frightening because you could nearly feel the death as well. Not just the spirits, but the density of how people live there, which is dangerous. That's my country right now. I know how to live there because I know the book that's not been written. How you live in Venezuela is like Wild West. So well, I'm gonna go study whatever these other countries. Countries I wish to never go until those children are big and it's not so violent, aggressive, or too Muslim. I like the Muslim religion, but not too Muslim. It's ugly. You cannot go to the beach. Even if you have below your ass, in the middle of your legs, with a lycra under, they're like behind their leg because they're so afraid. They're like, so I like this whole thing about wearing your robe. I would love to wear a robe with good materials, all sorts of material, all my life. I don't like anyone looking on my ass, but it's uncomfortable to have that attention. People looking at you. Just a robe. Who cares? You don't have to pay respect to anyone because you're just a multimillionaire, so you don't have to work for anyone. You don't have to bring excuses to anyone. Of course, I wouldn't be a famous person that I depend on people to keep my image because everybody dresses in the same way. I always thought to just be rich enough so I can wear a robe, not just as a form of going to meditation in the ashram, but my mother would wear a robe. She only had 3 robes. Um, when she went to India, I put a lot of boxes of her clothes for donation, and she was mad. She was so mad. I said, "Well, mother, but I had remodeled all her room and terrace. My sister did it before, but she did it because it was hers. She transformed the garage into her room, and she did it with her own money for herself. What I did was open the garage door, so it's not a garage door, and she could look at the entrance. I made it like a garden where the car would enter, so it just had the track of concrete. And the wall now painted all with dark oak. So well, now you can see the clothes you have and have space. You need more space to move around with. But my mother had the most beautiful closets, walk-in closets. But when she becomes older, she doesn't care about clothes. So I wanted to be like her. I still want to. She's somewhere kidnapped by my sister, or my little sister has kidnapped my mother, and I don't have money to get her away. It should be like that. It should be talk as family. I cannot talk about my sister because it's not like Harry though. She would just talk herself, her, as they say in Spanish, out of her elbows. hablar, hablar por los codos. Hablar por los codos. Like, yeah. It's like, whoa. Scandal, scandal. It's not that stupid. He's smart. He wants everyone to talk about it. Oh, gosh. If you want change, you can only look within yourself. I asked my mother, "You don't need drugs to be happy. I'm happy without drugs." And she says, "Yes, I am as well." I know she's not because she needs to smoke hashish, at least in the night. But my sister has had her kidnapped for already many years. Is there a mutual agreement? So what should I do? Thanks to that, I could build the rules of roleplay on my own. And even thanks to all the bad things that happened to me. So I could be alone and go deeper in thought. I've been many weeks and 3 months on ultimate silence, just trying to think for certain clues without drugs or medicine or anything or alcohol, just natural morphine. And some 3 months in these last years as well. So it would be a subtotal of a Titanic idea. Gosh, I still have to read a little bit from Fiasco. Hey, Fiasco, where I want to open? I didn't read this book at all. I just got it from Cricklewood Station, train station, where they donate books. I fancy to have my little library here, or in a place where I can share with people to do role play and get into different verses and different types of writers and characters and sciences, just to immerse in each world, because each one has a dictionary of its own. You don't need to read the whole book. You make your role play. It's not a game. Twats, insult twats. They were right to be afraid. One fund manager from San Francisco rejected the pre-4 trust because he said it resembled a Swedish krona, Swiss franc, pearls. Pearls is like the name of the file because it's with big captions. He had purchased from Morgan Stanley that pearls had dropped in the price from £100 to 75, no, $100 to $75 virtually overnight. We assured the salesman that the preferred trust was nothing like pearls, but we couldn't guarantee that it wouldn't drop in price. The issue was a serious one. I'm reading because I need to just exercise my English. So it doesn't matter what page I open of a book. So I just don't talk with the same words. I can have better words when I'm sitting alone because I go in the back of my mind where I have store a lot of words that are used from reading and writing, not for speaking. Yeah, absolutely. Harry was talking because it looks frontal cortege talking, and it's not a book that is written by his own. He was talking and someone was writing, or he just recorded it and somebody wrote it. In such a predicament, they feared Morgan Stanley would rip their faces off. Well, we couldn't predict the financial markets, especially in Argentina. Argentina. I guess this is like when my family lost $1 million in Argentina. One 1997, one 1998. Exactly. That was horrific from my mother's side. My mother lost all her money going to India for 5 years because she invested it on that, and because she lost her social status and went to sell her two apartments that she had. The family didn't treat her as well because she was not super rich as before. So my mother was very happy they lost $1 million in the market. They saved all that money. They were working class. They had a store of refined sweets from Italy, coffee from Italy, and some products from Argentina, and they would make their own ice cream. That was the Italian part, because the one from the north of Spain were social workers. They were maybe more Christian. They were maybe they were not from the market. They work for society. They work. I mean, both were working people, working class. So my grandmother married her first husband, which was not my grandfather. He was a lesser from a lowest class, and he was very brutish. And my grandfather didn't treat her so bad, so she was not battered woman from my grandfather. But my grandfather from Italy did treat her bad in another way, because he would take all her money to play it on horses and poker cards. I'll probably go with other woman. Treat her very bad psychologically. So that's also battered, and maybe it's worse than being physical violence as the other one who, so my mother said, the family said he was crazy because I guess his violent impulses in those times in Argentina, which is like a little Europe, were was savage. And in some mountain parts of the north of Spain where they came from, they were very brutish and they were known to be brutish, like physically brutish. So my grandmother, I have imagination sometimes just thinking about my grandmother and how proud she would be of me having the same trauma with a different story. My mother was a very successful woman and she never had a bit of that, and I've always walked heroic, but still I don't have superpowers. Heroic is to say as a survival sometimes that I have survived a life. However, a typical percentage profit for a complex d- deri- derivative derivatives trade. I mean, in Spanish it would be so easier for me to read it in Spanish. Trade was 1 or 2%. However, the preferred trust was so complicated and difficult for investors to value properly that they agreed to pay much more for the bonds than they probably should have. The profits from the preferred trust, approximately 4 million in those times, in 1994, was a lot, exceeded those of any Morgan Stanley in the derivatives trade. Wow, derivatives. Oh, the fiasco is. I need a massage in my back to stay straight. Stretch. It's only 7:16. Wow. It's gonna be 3 hours nearly of monologues. Wow. Yes, it's about time to listen to what is out there in the net. What is your worth net? Yes, I am from NATO. I am Netayan. Netayan? I am a natish. Natish. Yes. How much worth is your net? Well, you should ask about the worth of people from beyond these horizons. They should think about it. Seems there's gonna be a war of conquest as Russia and China are trying to conquer Africa and South America with their business. And of course, business and profits. But without sharing this global map, we're gonna still have these problems. So I can only wish the best for the computer engineers here in our kingdom and the mediations from science fiction characters we have already right now alive who are young enough to represent our stories and see what stories they have as well. This is not like reporting to a TV channel, because one of the rules of roleplay is to keep uncertainty level. Otherwise, it would be boring. Okay, so I don't want to study Algeria. Why not? Maybe my Google Map satellite can work to see the beach. It's just so slow, this computer, that I don't even want to look at it and get more frustrated with all the frustrations I have. I cannot even write my list of frustrations. It's better to dream. It's like it contrasts juxtapoints all this. So I'll have to keep track and go to sleep early. I mean, as I normally do, wake up early, save money so I get my daughter shopping in 1 month and a half. Oh god, I have to put my mind together. This is gonna take a lot of. Normally, I make a character which is like a warrior with an armor, so I can refrain myself. I put these baseball hats to reframe as a horse. I just put myself on mode. So one has to understand that not every stage is as one thinks, and there is a modality that one should be aware is that one should never auto stage when one is entering unknown territory. I mean, of course, you can do it, but it needs a lot of preparation. It's not just like you are tackling or tantalizing. Just it's hard to feel welcome when it's not your home, your land, your scenario. And this happens multiple times. You can play and role play it on any verse, on any stage. It happens again and again with the interactions we have from fantasy to reality. So I wish we just moved there, really, because who cares about Harry and Meghan? I want to see what you do. And influencers. I was thinking of Jordan Peterson. Which village would he pick in the world just to make his mansion into a village, right? That is an evolving country. It doesn't have to be a country that is. I mean, he really needs to see the horrors of this world and the misery. India is a peaceful country, very peaceful, no violence. Really. So there are many countries that are. You're not going to risk your life if you go there. And it's okay to have bodyguards and have security and people who welcome you as well and all this, but it is good to know what you're talking about. And everyone who is in the highest, very top class, be at least 3 months, if not 3 years, in another country. 1 year, extend 1 year, 6 months in another country to get to really merge and feel as one of that spot in the universe. Explorers would do that. British explorers, Spaniards, French, people from Holland, bit by bit. So the Silk Trail exists and they want to make a train. We have friends from all over the world to travel and make a better life. Why not? It will be beautiful to see people filming and traveling with green energy and doing their little mansion into a village and getting to see the world in that global map. Getting to see the ferry Mancheron getting its taxes. I'm thinking things I shouldn't say, so bye. Enjoy life.